for 30 years.
Next year.
This year.
This year. Yeah. I don't know that I have a list of things necessarily. It's more like a feeling. The best thing about being married is having somebody in your corner that truly cares for you all the time. Somebody to support you and be there when you need, to share good moments, bad moments.
Yeah, sharing is part of the best part of the marriage.
Taking into consideration someone else's wants and needs and trying to put those above mine can be very challenging. But I think that's what makes a really good marriage, is making the other person feel like they're very special.
Trying to agree on all the decisions that you make and be on the same page all the time.
The most important thing is trust. You have to trust the other person to do what they say they're going to do all the time. The other thing is you have to believe that they have your back and they will never talk about you with their family or their friends. They'll never embarrass you. They'll never do something to diminish you as a person. And I think the most important one is acting in a very selfless way and not being selfish. And that's the one that I think most people, including myself, struggle with the most, trying to do what is best for the other person when you really feel like just really doing stuff for yourself.
To kind of share the duties. So when we got married, we made a pact. We kind of divided those duties. And I was in charge with all the major things in life. And Manuela was in charge with everything else. And since we got married, we had no major things to deal with, so we are very happy.
My system is to try to be quiet and hear what he has to say versus kind of trying to convince him really hard about my point of view. That's always a challenge because I always feel like what I feel is completely right 100% of the time. So hearing the other person's voice can be challenging.
Kind of look at the situation and I ask myself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? So I always decide to be happy and I don't say anything.
That's so not true. Learning to live with a messy garage is a compromise that I've made because he's a little bit of a hoarder. So I would say talk about absolutely everything that comes to your mind and discuss those things before you get married. Don't assume the other person is on the same page with you. So when it comes to finances or kids or jobs or where you're going to live, what are you going to spend money on, just all those decisions people usually don't talk about, and they're like, well, we'll figure it out as we go, and then get married and realize their wants and needs are so different.
And also, I don't think you cannot assume that the other person is going to change and is going to become what you want them to be. Most people are not going to change much from who they are. They will compromise, but the basis of their being will be the same.
Find common things to laugh about. He still makes me laugh really hard, and I think that if you can keep a sense of humor and just kind of a sense of being lighthearted about hard things or problems, I think that can go a long way. And just don't forget to be a kid at heart sometimes.
Yes, and there are always new things in life that bring you close together and it makes you happy. Like your kids, your grandkids, your accomplishments, so you always have something to celebrate.
So what I learned is that Manuela was 19 when she got married, which I just thought was really cool because they only knew each other. They only dated for 3 months from the day that they met. So they didn't even have a background as friends or anything. They just dated for 3 months and got engaged, which I thought was crazy, but they did say a really good piece of advice, which means if you know that you're the one and there's that chemistry there, then why not get married? And they also just said, people aren't going to change, so when you meet them you kind of already know who they are. So it was just really interesting to see that, and just how they got married so young, and they've been able to just make it a really successful marriage.
What I learned from this relationship interview is that you should always have goals and reach out to your partner and its family and always communicate. And trusting is the most important thing, because you should always be able to count on your partner, because that's the person you're trying to live or going to live the rest of your life with.
Thank you.
Thank you.